Hello everybody, in today's episode I will show you how to change the rear suspension from a Passat b5.5. I will remove the adjustable suspension from the car because the time has come to sell it, and I will mount back the original suspension of the car. To start, all you need is a toolkit like I have right here. After that you will need a dynamometer key or a torque wrench to remove the lug nuts from the wheels. You will need a breaker bar to remove the stuck parts from the suspension. You will also need some screwdrivers, a spray that helps to easily unscrew the screws, some fixed or tubular wrenches, a machine to sand the rusty parts from the suspension, and a jack stand which will support the weight of the car. If you have all of these tools, you can start the job and do it properly, fast and simple. Okay, let's begin. To begin, all you have to do is to lift the car up and put it on a jack stand or some wood blocks like I have here. You need to lift both of the wheels up because in this way you will remove very easily the swivel links, because all the tension will be removed. To remove the suspension, you will have here two nuts, one on the left and one on the right side, and those two nuts are holding the suspension mounted onto the car from the upper side. After that, you will also have here a nut which you will have to remove from this part of the suspension. After that, you will have to remove the caliper, which is held in by two nuts, one in the upper side and the other one in the lower side, like you can see here. And after that, you will also have to remove this nut in order to release the suspension completely from the car. After that, you will also need to remove the screws which is holding the bar onto its place. This bar, you will also need to remove it. Okay, let's start. To remove the caliper, you will need a 13mm key and a 15mm one. I already removed the lower screws from the caliper, and in order to remove it completely you will need a screwdriver and put it behind and push like I'm doing here, because in some cases the caliper may be stuck on the brake disc. Take your WD-40 and spray a little onto the nuts, because it will help them to loose easier. Here, just follow what I'm doing. You will need two 18mm keys, one on each side of the screws. One key is to stop the nut from spinning, and the other key is to remove the screw. Here, to remove this screw, you will also need two 18mm wrenches, and just follow what I'm doing here in order to remove completely the screw from the bar. After you completely remove the bolt from the bar, you will need this breaker bar to loosen it up, like so. So So we removed this bar, and the caliper. And now we'll also have to remove this sway bar link. Now let's spray some WD-40 onto the nut to loosen it up a little. And after that we can start to remove it. In order to remove the Swivel link nut from its place, you will need two 16mm wrenches. Now we have to remove the two bolts which is holding the suspension onto the upper side. Those two bolts we will have to remove using a 13mm wrench, like so. And now we only have to remove this bolt which is holding the suspension onto the bottom. I already sprayed some WD-40 on it. You will need, I think, also an 18mm wrench. Perfectly. This is the bolt and the nut. You can put them aside. Now, in order to remove completely the suspension from the car, just follow what I'm doing here and you will be able to remove it very easily. Just push the bar down. Perfectly. So this is the coilovers that I'm going to remove from the car, and after that I will install this original suspension back onto the car. To install it, you just have to follow the same steps to install it back onto the car. This is how it's looking with the suspension mounted onto the car. Just make sure you tied every bolt back onto its place, the caliper, the bolts from this bar, also the bolts which is holding the suspension onto the car. Thank you everyone for watching. If you liked this video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. See you next time.